O Alam, verily, Shlagyatamam, supremely glorified, Yadoho, of King Yadu, Kulam, dynasty, Aho, O Alam, verily, Punyatamam, supremely virtuous, Madhurvanam, the land of Mathura, Yat, because, Eshaha, this, Pumsam, of all the living beings, Rishabhaha, supreme leader, Shriyaha, of the goddess of fortune, Patihi, husband, Swajanmana, by his appearance, Chankramanena, by crawling, Cha Anchati, glories. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Translation with repetition. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna has expressively given a description of his transcendental appearance, disappearance, and activities. The Lord appears in a particular family or place by his inconceivable potency. He does not take his birth as a conditioned soul quits his body and accepts another body, but his birth is like the appearance and disappearance of the sun. The sun arises on the eastern horizon, but that does not mean that the eastern horizon is the parent of the sun. The sun is existent in every part of the solar system, but he becomes visible at a scheduled time and so also becomes invisible at another scheduled time. Similarly, the Lord appears in this universe like the sun and again leaves our sight at another time. He exists all times and at every place, but by his causeless mercy, when he appears before us, we take it for granted that he has taken his birth. Anyone who can understand this truth in terms of the statements of revealed scriptures certainly becomes liberated just after quitting the present body. Liberation is obtainable after many births and after great endeavor in patience and perseverance, in knowledge and renunciation, but simply by knowing in truth about the Lord's transcendental births and activities, one can get liberation at once. That is the verdict of the Bhagavad Gita. But those who are in the darkness of ignorance conclude that the Lord's births and activities in the material world are similar to those of the ordinary living being. Such imperfect conclusions cannot give anyone liberation. His birth, therefore, in the family of King Yadu as the son of King Vasudeva and his transfer into the family of Nanda Maharaj in the land of Mathura are all transcendental arrangements made by the internal potency of the Lord. The fortunes of the Yadu dynasty and that of the inhabitants of the land of Mathura cannot be materially estimated. If simply by knowing the transcendental nature of the birth and activities of the Lord one can get liberation easily, we can just imagine what is in store for those who actually enjoyed the company of the Lord in person as a family member or as a neighbor. All those who are fortunate enough to associate with the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, certainly obtain something more than what is known as liberation. Therefore, rightly the dynasty and the land are both ever glorious by the grace of the Lord. Thus ends the Transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, in this chapter, Lord Krishna is departing from Hastinapura and is leaving to Dwaraka. So, on the rooftop, the women of Hastinapura, they all assembled to witness the scene of Lord moving in his chariot from Hastinapura to Dwaraka. And when they were witnessing the scene, they were about to cry, but they controlled their tears because they thought it is inauspicious to cry when the Lord, when an important activity is happening. And in that situation, they started to offer prayers or glorification of the Lord. And this is one of those verses where they are glorifying the Lord. And more specifically, they are glorifying how glorious is the dynasty of King Yadu and the land known as Mathura. So here it is said, Aho alam shlagyatamam yado kulam. So, aho, oh, in wonder they are saying, alam, verily, certainly, it is a fact that shlagyatamam. So, the word shlagya usually means glorious, but here shlagyatamam means most glorious or supremely glorious. So they are saying this Yadokulam, the dynasty of Yadus, is most glorious, is supremely glorious. Now, it is important to note what makes something glorious. What makes something to be praiseworthy? So, usually when we look at a dynasty, if you look at a president or something, we consider some president to be glorious because there's a big army, there's a big aeroplane to carry him, or the wealth that he may possess, and so on and so forth. But all those things which apparently look like glorious are very, very temporary. Just like in today's age, the president may exist for 4 years, 5 years, and after that there is no attention. The glory is all gone. The glory does not exist. For 4 years, 5 years, they are visible in the media, they look very powerful, but immediately the glory all vanishes. So glory is not really temporary. It's not permanent, it is very temporary. But here, this glory that is being talked about the dynasty of Yadu, is permanent, is eternal glory, supremely glorious. And why is that? Why is that something becomes supremely glorious and other things or other dynasties do not become supremely glorious? So we will see the reason. And similarly, it is being said, Aho alam punyatamam madhor vanam. Similarly, the residents, the women of Hastinapura are saying, how virtuous is the land of Mathura. The land also becomes glorious. Some places become glorious, just like some cities become the capital of the state or country, and therefore they tend to look very nice. Or some places, because of some buildings, some historical sites, they look glorious, they look nice. But again, all these things are so temporary. For some time one city may remain as a capital, For some time the buildings may exist, but in due course of time the value of that place may vanish. But here this place of Mathura is actually glorified eternally. Why is that such glorification exists for some things or places and not for other places? So that is being described. Now why is that happening? Is because Swajanmana Chankramanena Chanchati. So Swajanmana. Now why is this place and this dynasty is so glorious? Because the Lord has taken his birth. And how is the Lord is being described? Yadesha pumsam rishabha shriya patihi. So the one who has taken Swajanmana is not an ordinary person. He is pumsam rishabha. Rishabha means supreme leader. Supreme leader of whom? Pumsam, of all the living beings. Of all the living beings. Not just the human population of one state, one country. No, he is the supreme leader of all the living beings. And he is also the goddess of fortune. He is the husband of the goddess of fortune. That means he is full in opulence. He is full in wealth. And he is the leader, he is all powerful, he is all knowledgeable. Because he has taken birth in the dynasty of King Yadu, and because he has appeared in the land of Mathura, they have become very glorious. Not only that, it is said, Chankramanena. He also performed various activities. He wandered in the city of Mathura. He performed various activities in the family with the family members of Yadu dynasty. And because of this reason, this dynasty of Yadus and the land of Mathura is very, very glorious. Now, similarly, we also see in Bhagavad Gita, in the chapter 10, which is known as the opulence of the Absolute. So, in this, there are various opulences of the Lord are described so that we can understand how to see the Lord in this world. Because when we see this world, we do not see the Lord. But actually, we should learn how to see the Lord through the scriptures, and towards the end, there is a verse which says, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam Srimad urjitam evava. So here, the word urjitam refers to glorious. So it is said, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam. Whatever opulences that one may see in existence, Srimad, or whatever that is beautiful one sees, or urjitam evava, or anything that is glorious, one must know that is coming from the Supreme Lord. So, any glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be but a fragmental manifestation of Krishna's opulence, whether it be in the spiritual or material world. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence. So, the Lord is saying that if you see anything which is beautiful, which is glorious, that is nothing but a fragment of his manifestation. He is supremely glorious, he is supremely beautiful. But in this world, when we see something which is nice and glorious, we must know it is manifestation of that glory, or that beauty is manifestation of a partial manifestation of the Supreme Lord, a fragmental manifestation. So here it is important to see that the residents, these women of Hastinapura, are able to see that Lord's glories when they are seeing how the Lord is appearing in a specific place, in a specific dynasty. This is very important because there are so many dynasties. In fact, in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is description of various dynasties, and in that predominantly there are two important dynasties, one that is coming from the moon and the one coming from the sun. So Soma Vamsha and Raghu Vamsha. So in the dynasty of Sun dynasty, Lord Ramachandra appears, and in the dynasty of Moon, Lord Krishna appears, or in the Yadu dynasty. So Yadu dynasty is a dynasty which is coming from the moon. And Parishit Maharaj becomes very, very eager to hear, although there are just few chapters in 9th canto which describe the glories of Lord Ramachandra, because that's where the dynasty of from the sun is described. But immediately after that, when the description of the dynasties of the moon are described, as soon as Parishit Maharaj hears about the Yadu dynasty, he says, please explain me more. And because of which we can see there are 90 chapters in 10th canto describing the glories of Lord Krishna. So this is this dynasty of Yadu is actually very, very glorified in Srimad Bhagavatam. No other dynasty is glorified so much. Now, why? Why is that glorification so important? Because there is the presence of the Lord. The relationship of the Lord to Yadu dynasty is so significant. Actually, anything becomes glorious by the relationship that object has with the Lord. Just like Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami, when he was explaining about the appearance of Lord Rishabhadeva in 5th canto, Parikshit Maharaj apparently looks, or at least Sukadeva Goswami thinks, that Parikshit Maharaj is slightly disappointed. Why? Because Sukadeva Goswami is explaining how glorious is the dynasty of Priyavarta, because in that dynasty the Lord appeared as Rishabhadeva. Similarly, previously Sukadeva Goswami explained how glorious is the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj, because in that dynasty Priyavarta Maharaj, the Lord appeared as Lord appeared as Prithu Maharaj. And then how glorious is the Yadu dynasty, in which the Lord himself appeared. But what about Kuru dynasty? The Lord did not appear in that dynasty, and therefore the Parishit Maharaj may think, oh, Kuru dynasty and Yadu dynasty, they are all contemporaries of similar time, but Lord has not appeared in my dynasty, and therefore the Kuru dynasty is not so important. So one may feel like that. So only one dynasty is important and not any other dynasty is important, and therefore Sukadeva Goswami thought maybe Parishit Maharaj may be slightly disappointed. But then Sukadeva Goswami says, no, Kuru dynasty is also glorious. In fact, he says perhaps even more glorious than the Yadu dynasty. Why is that? That is because he says that the Lord was willing to become a menial servant and a messenger for the members of the Kuru dynasty. He says that Lord was so much more affectionate towards the Pandavas, the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, that he was willing to do anything for them. This affection which the Pandavas received was not even received by all the members of Yadu dynasty, and therefore the members of the Kuru dynasty are also more fortunate and glorious. So the point here is that it is the relationship, it is the presence of the Lord that makes something glorious. Lord would have appeared in a specific dynasty, but if one establishes one's relationship with the Lord by serving Him, by glorifying Him, even that individual can become glorious. And Prabhupada says in one of the lectures that the Supreme Lord is wonderful, and anyone who is serving Him is also wonderful. Otherwise, there is nothing wonderful or glorious about our things. Only when we serve the Lord, we can also become glorious. Prabhupada says that. So, here we can see that how the dynasty of King Yadu has become glorious. Now, one may say that to become glorious, one has to work very hard. Everyone wants glory. So everyone tends to work very hard to publish more research papers, to earn more money, to release some nice videos so that there is more likes, there is more shares, or so on and so forth. One thinks by working very, very hard, one can become glorious. But actually, Srimad Bhagavatam recommends how we can actually become glorious in a different way. And so, in one of the in one place where there is a description of Prithu Maharaj meeting with the 4 Kumaras, there is a description of how a person can become highly glorified. This verse says, a person who is not very rich and is attached to family life becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present in his home. The master and servants who are engaged in offering the exalted visitors water, a sitting place, and paraphernalia for reception are glorified, and the home itself is also glorified. So here it is being said that when a saintly person are present in one's home, then that family person or that person is actually highly glorified. Now, why is this? Because Prabhupada writes, even if a saintly person goes to the house of even an unimportant man, such a person becomes glorious by his blessings. So the presence of saintly people is very, very important. Srila Prabhupada has established International Society for Krishna Consciousness so that some of first-class men, some saintly men can be made through this institution. And why there should be some first-class men? Because by their association, the others will get knowledge, others will get blessings, and by which their life will become glorious. So, the presence of saintly people, Prabhupada wanted that there should be a place where people come and meet saintly people, by which they can see how should one lead one's life, what one should do, what one should not do. Because without the presence of the saintly people, it is not possible for one to know what is right, what is wrong, what to do, what not to do, where to find hope in circumstances which are beyond one's control. So, Guru Sadhu Shastra. So, Guru is the one who explains the Shastras and who shows people how to lead one's life based on the instructions of the scriptures. Scriptures give the instructions, but if there is only scripture, one may not know how to make sense of the scriptures. And therefore, the presence of the spiritual master is required, because by the presence of the spiritual master, one can know what is the meaning of the scripture, what is given in the scripture. And the spiritual master also demonstrate by his own example how to see the scriptures in practice. But if there is Guru and the scriptures, Guru and Shastra, but let's say if one is not able to physically interact with the spiritual master and one is new to understand the scriptures, then the role of the saintly people become more important, because in that association one can appreciate more Guru and Shastra. And therefore, presence of saintly people in one's life is very important to mold one's life in a way which is more spiritually conducive and progressive. So, Prabhupada writes, even the system is current in India that wherever the saintly persons go, they are hosted by the householders, who in turn get an opportunity to receive transcendental knowledge. It is the duty of a sannyasi, therefore, to travel everywhere just to favor the householders who are generally ignorant of the values of spiritual life. So, it is said that one should invite saintly people to one's house, and it is important for the sannyasis to travel to give that opportunity for the householders who may be deeply entrenched in their own lives to get an opportunity to serve a saintly person. Now, immediately as soon as one says that someone is going to come to someone's house, there is immediately a thought comes, how is it possible? We are so busy, there are so many things which are going on, so what can be done? How can we invite someone? So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada writes something very interesting. Prabhupada says that when a householder has to receive a saintly person, usually they should be prepared to receive the entourage also. That means anyone who is coming with them. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Durvasa Muni, who was traveling with 60,000 disciples. And therefore, if you were to invite Durvasa Muni and get his blessings, you must be ready to feed him and 60,000 of his disciples. So usually that is not easy, to just take care of one person is very difficult. What about 60,000 people, or let's say even 4 or 5 people? It becomes a little difficult. And if there is a discrepancy in the reception of a saintly man, they may curse. So it's a dangerous thing. So how should I see this situation now? Can I ever imagine to invite a saintly person? So Prabhupada is giving something wonderful in the purport. Is saying that how one can receive a saintly man. The fact is that every householder, regardless of his position or economic condition, can at least receive saintly guests with great devotion and offer them drinking water. So invite with devotion and give some drinking water. And Prabhupada is saying for drinking water is available everywhere or always. In India, the custom is that even an ordinary person is offered a glass of water if he suddenly visits, and one cannot offer him foodstuff. So ideally, if someone comes to one's home, one should not only offer the glass of water but also some foodstuff. Let's say for some reason someone comes suddenly and there is no foodstuff, at least water must be offered. Now the situation is, what if there is no water? If there is no water, then one can offer a sitting place even if it is on a straw mat. Okay, there is no water, but at least give a mat and ask him to sit. What if there is no straw mat? I mean, in America for sure there is no straw mat, but what to do if there is no straw mat? It is being said that he can immediately cleanse the ground and ask the guests to sit there. What if the householder cannot even do that? Then there is one more thing. Then with folded hands he can simply receive the guest saying welcome. And if he cannot do that, then he should feel very sorry for his poor condition and shed tears and simply offer obeisances with his whole family, wife and children. In this way he can satisfy any guest, even if the guest is a saintly person or a king. Actually, the point that I am trying to say here is that by blessings and by mercy one can become glorious. Blessings of a saintly person, spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. This is the way we can make our life glorious. The Lord may not take birth or have taken birth in our dynasty perhaps. So we may think maybe we cannot become glorious. But no. But if we can please the spiritual master and the saintly people who are more intimately connected with the Supreme Lord, then there is a possibility that by their blessings, by their mercy, we can also become glorious. This is very important. And how to do that? The spiritual master has given so many instructions. How we can be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. And to serve the Supreme Lord is not easy. He is completely pure. And therefore, we need to be trained under the guidance of the spiritual master. Especially the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya recommends that we become Dasa, Dasanudasa. In this beautiful prayer of Vritrasura, where he says, Aham Harer Tava Padeka Mula Dasanudasa Dasa Bhavitasmi Bhuyaha. He is asking for only one prayer. He is saying, let me become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. This actually, according to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gopi Bhartyur Padakamalyor Dasa Dasanudasaha. If one is trying to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord, the more Prabhupada says 100 times he is lower, that many times he is glorious. 100 times lower, Prabhupada says that many times glorious. Actually, this is the uniqueness of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, that to serve the servants of the servants of the servants of the Lord is emphasized tremendously. Because it is in that way the Lord is more pleased. Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are served very well. So, in this way, anyone can actually become glorious. And furthermore, here it is being said that the land of Mathura is very, very glorious because it is intimately connected with the Lord, because Lord has appeared there. So, even it is said that in the Yadu dynasty, the famous one of the famous kings, Surasena, he decided to go to Mathura and make that as the capital city. And since then, it became the capital of the Yadu dynasty. And it is said that because the land of Mathura is the place where the Lord appeared, it is not an ordinary place. It is actually the transcendental abode of the Lord. Anything that is connected with the Lord is not material, it is transcendental, it is spiritual. And therefore, all the places of Lord's appearance are very, very special, very holy. Actually, simply by performing any devotional activity there, one gets 1,000 times or even more times benefit. And it is said that simply by visiting these places and performing devotional service, one can, even by simply by being present in these places, one gets immediately connected with the Supreme Lord, because they are non-different from the Supreme Lord. So, it is said that Narottama Das Thakur says, Shri Gauda Mandala Bhumi Yena Jane Chintamani Tarahaya Vraja Bhume Vasa. Vraja Bhumi refers to Mathura Vrindavan, and Gauda Mandala Bhumi includes Navadvipa. These two places are non-different. Therefore, anyone living in Navadvip Dhama, knowing Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the same personality, lives in Vrajabhumi, Mathura Vrindavan. So, Lord has made it convenient for the conditioned soul to live in Mathura, Vrindavan and Navadvip, and thus be directly connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, directly connected. So, simply by living in these places, one can actually come in contact with the Lord directly. And therefore, because of this reason, there are many devotees who take a vow. They never leave Vrindavan, Mathura, or they never leave Navadvip. For their life, they never go to any other place, because they do not want to miss the direct connection with the Lord. This is may not be possible for everyone. So what do we do then? So one may become disappointed. Oh, I have bought a house in Shrewsbury, I have bought house here, so what about my condition? I am not going to live in Vrindavan or Mathura. So Prabhupada writes that although this is a good vow to live in Vrindavan or Mathura or Navadvip for the service of the Lord, to live there, but if one leaves Vrindavan, Mathura or Navadvip Dham for the service of the Lord, is not disconnected from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, if one is engaging under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada and doing service for the Supreme Lord, then actually there's no difference in living in Vrindavan, Mathura, Navadvip, or rendering service under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada, because simply by serving under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada, one is also directly connected with the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada also wants to emphasize that this does not at any rate reduce the importance of living in Mathura, Vrindavan, or Navadvip Dham. So, actually, anyone who renders service in these places of Mathura and Vrindavan and quits the body there, for sure goes back to home, back to Godhead. And therefore, these are of great importance. So that's why one of the important aspects of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela was that to excavate the places of Lord's pastime in Mathura, Vrindavan. And for that reason, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami to specifically go, because just to reside in these places, one immediately makes so much advancement in spiritual life. Because these places are so intimately connected with the Lord, where every place there are footprints of the Lord has walked those places, Lord has performed various pastimes, the people who are present there are connected with the Lord, and they are devotees of the Lord, and therefore simply by being present in that atmosphere, one will absorb Krishna consciousness very naturally and easily. And therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended Mathura Vas as one of the 5 important devotional items to make progress in spiritual life. So, although these places of Mathura, Vrindavan and Navadvip are present on this earth, but still they are actually the facsimiles, or Prabhupada says they are the transcendental abodes of the Lord, which are directly descended from the spiritual world. Only one who is free from sense gratification can see the spiritual significance of these places. But in our level, we must hear from the spiritual master and the scriptures, and if we follow the instructions of how to live in Vrindavan, how to visit Vrindavan, how to visit Mathura and associate with the devotees there, we can also make that direct contact with the Supreme Lord. So this is another point that is being mentioned in this verse, where there is glorification of the Mathura and is given. Similarly, in Varha Purana, there is a statement talking about the importance of staying in Mathura. Any person who becomes attracted to places other than Mathura will certainly be captivated by the illusory energy. So, these places are so nice that actually one forgets illusory energy. Actually, to be in Mathura, Vrindavan, Navadvip is actually to be living in the spiritual world, free from anxiety, free from illusion, free from all the complexities and dualities of the material world. But again, one has to live under the guidance of the spiritual master. Not that one can just go as a tourist and experience this. That is not possible. Because our senses are not purified, we cannot see the transcendental nature of these places. Therefore, we need to get purified under the guidance of the spiritual master to actually see these places. Elsewhere in Brahmanda Purana, it is said that all the results of traveling on all the pilgrimages within the 3 worlds can be achieved simply by touching the holy land of Mathura. So, these are very, very special places that it is very important to make advancement that Mathura was to either reside, ideally to reside in this place, or at least to visit these places is very, very important. And in other scriptures, it is said that simply by hearing, remembering, glorifying, desiring, seeing or touching the land of Mathura, one can achieve all desires. So, these are places of touchstone like Chintamani Dhama. Our desires actually get fulfilled, and importantly, the highest desire to associate with the Lord, to serve Him, gets easily fulfilled in these places. And therefore, these places are extremely glorified. Prabhupada in this verse is also talking about the appearance of the Lord. It is very important to note that the appearance of the Lord is not the same as another living entity's appearance or birth. So Prabhupada is explaining the significance of Lord's appearance. So, and importantly, it is very important to note that the Lord can appear in any dynasty, in any part of the world, in any part of this entire universe or any universes. But why does Lord choose to appear in a specific dynasty and a specific place? That is actually up to the Lord. And it is said that Lord appears in a specific dynasty just to glorify the devotees. Actually, Lord wants to reciprocate with his devotees. And just for that reason, he appears in a specific dynasty. In fact, there is similar prayer which is also made by Kunti Maharani, in which there's a prayer by Kunti Maharani, where she also says what are the various reasons why the Lord appears. And he says, she goes on to give various reasons as to why the Lord is appearing. And in one of the prayers, she is saying that the Lord appears. Kechid ahur ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyas anvavayaye malayasya chandane. So she is saying that some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. So actually, there are various reasons why Lord appears. And one of the reasons why the Lord appears is to please his devotees. So in this case, Yadu, King Yadu was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. And therefore Lord has come here to please him. So one of the things that is important to note is that Prabhupada is giving the analogy of the sun. Sun is always existing. Although the sun may appear to come from the eastern horizon, actually eastern horizon is not the parent of the sun. It's an accidental property or an accidental thing, that the Lord is coming from eastern horizon. Lord can come from any horizon. Lord is not bound, the sun is not bound to only come from the east. But because it appears for us that it is coming from the east, one may think, east is the source of sun. No, that's not the case. Similarly, that the Lord is not that he is bound like us to be born in a specific family. For us to be born in a good family or a specific family, we have to do a lot of good activities, pious activities. It is said a yogi who is elevated and who falls down may take birth in a family of opulent people or brahmanas, or but one who is still more advanced yogi and who falls down, he may take birth in the family of devotees. So there are qualifications which are required for one to take birth in a specific family. Similarly, it requires specific qualifications for one to acquire in a specific form of life. Just like Prabhupada says that if one is not elevated in one's consciousness, and one may go down in another form of life, like an animal form of life, or someone is more elevated in the mode of goodness and other qualities, one may be born as a demigod. And similarly, based upon one's desires, one may be born in a specific place. So for us to take birth in a specific family and a specific place is because of our karma, because of our activities. We don't choose our birth place, neither the family in which we take birth. But that is not the case with the Lord. The Lord, out of his own sweet will, he decides in which family I should appear and where I should appear. So this is to be recognized, that the Lord's appearance and his disappearance, his activities are not like of our activities. Our activities are governed by three modes of material nature. The Lord, although being present in this material world, is never affected by the three modes of material nature. He is never influenced by them. Whereas our activities are influenced. In fact, the Lord's transcendental position is never influenced by his presence in this planet in any form, either in the form of a boar, in the form of a lion, half man. In any form he may be there, but his transcendental position as a supreme personality of Godhead, as a supreme leader of all the living beings, never change. And therefore, one of the important things that Srila Prabhupada writes here is that the the Lord appears in a particular family or place by his inconceivable potency. It is very important to recognize the Lord has innumerable potencies and he has inconceivable potencies. That means we cannot comprehend his potencies. Actually, sometimes people say why it is so difficult to understand God, because he has so many inconceivable potencies. Because of inconceivable potencies, the so-called contradictory things are possible within him. Just like even if you look in this mundane material world, as you look into the complex sciences like quantum mechanics or few other sciences, you will see things which apparently look contradictory or inconceivable. Yet we agree and appreciate, and because they are inconceivable and not easy to understand, only a few elite can understand. And what about the Lord who has so many inconceivable potencies? How can a normal man think that he can conceive the greatness of the Supreme Lord? And therefore, it is difficult to understand the Lord. But only by his mercy, or by the mercy of his devotees, one can actually understand the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. And actually, to understand the inconceivable potencies of the Lord, one requires the mercy of the Lord. Without the mercy of the Lord, one cannot understand his inconceivable potency. And to receive the mercy of the Lord, rendering devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee of the Lord is a must, without which it is not possible to understand the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. Actually, this one factor, achintya bheda veda, that is the philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Achintya refers to inconceivable. Actually, without understanding the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord, one cannot appreciate the Supreme Lord. And Jiva Goswami gives wonderful description about what is inconceivable potencies by quoting various verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada writes in one of the purports, I think 5.14, Adi Leela. It's a nice purport where Prabhupada is elaborating on the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. So it is very important to see that the Lord's appearance is from his own sweet will. And Lord is actually reciprocating with his devotees. And the Lord is always existing. Just like the sun is always existing. For a moment of time, the sun may appear above us and may disappear. But that has nothing to do with the existence of the sun. The sun is always existing. So similarly, the Supreme Lord is also all existing. And just to give one example for inconceivable potency, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of sun. Just like the sun is emitting so much heat and light for so many millions of years, and yet it looks to be same, it's inconceivable. Just like if I were to expend some energy, after some time I'll become tired and weak. But the sun is giving away so much energy, and yet it doesn't look like tired. It's not like stopping its motion. It's still moving around very nicely. It is still doing its functions very nicely. So Prabhupada gives the example, if the sun can do this, whatever the Supreme Lord, his inconceivable potency must be extraordinary. So it is being said that anyone who understands this principle, the nature of the Supreme Lord, that his appearance and his disappearance from the revealed scriptures to be transcendental, to be not like of an ordinary human being, is said to get liberation. Janma karma chame devyam evam yo veti tatvataha. So if one knows taktva deham punarjanma neiti mameti sarjuna. So after quitting this body, if one is before quitting the body, if one knows that the birth and activities of the Supreme Lord are transcendental, not mundane, as given in scriptures, as understood by the scriptures in truth, then after quitting this body, one does not come back to this world. So that is the greatness of simply hearing about the Lord's appearance and disappearance. And here, not just liberation, but these devotees of Mathura, Vrindavan, of the Yadu dynasty, they are intimately doing various activities with the Supreme Lord. it is so much more auspicious, it is so much more glorious. So therefore Prabhupada writes that all those who were fortunate enough to associate with the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, certainly obtained something more than what is known as liberation. Therefore rightly the dynasty and the land are both ever glorious by the grace of the Lord. So this opportunity to associate with the Lord and to perform activities is very, very rare, very, very glorious. And Srila Prabhupada is offering us that opportunity to associate with the Lord. And therefore, when we follow the instructions of the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada and serve him, we also can get the same opportunity, which is more than what is known as liberation. And therefore, we must know that we are also very fortunate to come in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord. And if we follow his instructions sincerely, then we can also become glorious as the wonderful devotees of Mathura and Vrindavan. I'll stop here and see if there are any questions or comments.